So I can hear my back. I'll just give a little talk about digital marketing. We should have a mindset shift because digital marketing wasn't created by marketeers, but engineers. So they have a different approach. They have a lot of data analysis and how we approach them too. And this comes with challenges as well. So now we have the customer journey become very complex, very high maintenance, that have to be touch base all the time, engage with the customer service has to be there all the time. And you can see that every time we don't interact with them, we tend to lose them on the sales funnel. But on top of that, we also have a change in the consumer engagement. So Rob came from former CIO from Coca-Cola. Now I believe he's in McKinsey. He did a very good approach of this and shows that the marketing in the past we had in the 80s was a single message, the same commercial Coca-Cola you see across the TV, radio. And then in the 90s, you see segmentation. So we did, for example, in the wine industry, soccer moms had a specific wine, wine snobs, another one, Napa Cab. And these are based on demographics. And then in 2000s, we have started customization based on the history, purchase history, perhaps purchase the history behavior, where we see, referral programs or even referral products. So you might like this, Amazon did a good job on this. And now we're leaving into the social linked. So it's not about the individual anymore, but how the individual related to other friends and how they interact with each other. So this is called the social marketing. And the point is that the friends tends to have a similar behavior of the friends as well. So this is kind of homophily, but we're gonna talk about this in a different day. And if you have any questions, we can do that. But the taking of this slide is that if the wineries only do segmentation to achieve their goals to sell, especially online, they are 20 years behind. So why they don't adopt digital marketing? I did a research with Damien and Listache last year. We found out that the main reason is because they don't know. They don't have knowledge or qualified people inside the company, inside the wineries to understand what digital marketing means. And there we call this digital lipstick syndrome. They think that they have a social media, a Facebook account is already enough for them, but it's not. And also they have a hard time understanding the costs that can be done and influence size into the e-commerce infrastructure. But the question of time is not a priority for them. They do have time to do it. And how they can improve that. So if you're looking for the side of how they can hire people, the qualified people, they could use LinkedIn. About 90% of companies use LinkedIn to hire people. However, this may not be as effective because you're still going through 500 different resumes. Another way to do it would be define the profile you want and do ads on this the same way you do as a product. Well, you want a bachelor degree, and why not target people on Facebook and Instagram? They already like your brand. On the other aspect of the winery is how to improve the digital presence on the product side. So we see advertising is a big chunk on this. And this research also shows that we have about 2/3 of the wineries spending less than $100 a month in ads. So this is basically a bottle of wine in Napa. But this shows a very red flag because you should invest a little bit more because of the competition. And when we ask, where do you spend this $100? The majority answer was Facebook and Instagram. However, like you see, Google is only 6%, tiny portion. But what they don't realize is that does social media impacts on e-commerce? But when you look at the e-commerce channel share, social media only impacts in 6%. This is a pre-COVID. So we expect now to be about 2%, according to the new latest reports I've seen. But if you see search, for example, it's about 54%. So people have intention to buy, and this should be a little bit more paid attention to this. And we also look into wineries where they have more than 20% of e-commerce. So the focus on the lead generation is not about to buy directly or to just purchase for the customer, but they eventually retain this customer and sell something else in the future, maybe a wine tasting or event. And they also use a lot of online videos. They do a lot of data analysis. They know really well, and then promote the events online. And the most important, the winery is regardless of the size. So the small and the big ones has the same approach. And during the COVID, when we talk about e-commerce again, according to Nielsen, did a big bump. That was in May, 234% on e-commerce. We see that, well, it's going to be sustainable in the long run. Well, if you look into who only bought this previous COVID, only bought online exclusively, people like only buy everything online, is about 7%. And the people only buy at the stores 20%, and they have the hybrid between 73%. The thing is that the fact that when you try the e-commerce, you might now go back to the stores, might get a little bit more comfortable, the delivery and the services. I saw the Heine from Vivino. He said because the companies pulled the investment during the COVID time, so made it easier for them to purchase more ads cheaper, so they almost doubled their sales. So meaning that they have to be there all the time, especially in this area. So now we behind advertising, and then now we have to do content marketing on top of that. They are a little shifting on it. And content is not about only writing articles and publish them. Well, the world now, thanks to TikTok as well, 82% is pretty much web traffic is video. And we're gonna see that video, anything you wanna change a light bulb, you don't Google it anymore, you go perhaps on the YouTube to see how to do it. And on top of that, Google gives the preference to your video, as long as it's tagged properly, 53 times more than any other written article. And if you don't want to do that, you can hire someone to do it. So YouTube bought this platform called FameBit. You can hire influencers to do so, but the most important, they can track if someone see the influencer and eventually buy, even organically, you can attribute the revenue for this influencer too. Predictive analytics. So imagine now the wineries sitting on this bunch of data they're capturing already, but they don't know what to do with that. Predictive analytics is basically what we do is the Moneyball approach. If you haven't seen this movie, please, you already have something to do this weekend. And Moneyball, what they use is the data in the right place. So the predictive analytics formula. So I'm gonna explain that Sam is gonna give the next presentation. He's gonna give an example of how to use the predictive analytics to retain customers. My focus now is to acquire customers. So we have the same type of data we use demographics, behavior, social features, and locations. We can predict the probability of any user comes to the website, turns into a paying customer, and how long they're gonna stay with us. And this also help us to be, to see how they vote, who's come only visiting the website into becomes a customer, and which ones we should target. And also the ones respond to discounts, because mostly of the wineries promotions and sales are 50% off. But what they forget is that only 20%, we call these discount junkies, they respond to the discounts, meaning that they're only gonna buy your product if you give a discount. In other words, 80% that don't need that discount. Perhaps 20, 30% might be enough for them to purchase, not necessarily 50, so you leave a lot of margin on that. And according to Salesforce, 91% of companies, this is all their clients, that 91% of them, they're already applying these predictive models into the business. And even if you have the predictive model and you do have a very nice strategy, it doesn't mean it's gonna work for you, especially if you copy someone. Because the beauty of the digital is all customizable. It has to fit you, your needs. And even if you know something must be true, you should test it. So a case study that Black & Decker switched a single word, shop to buy, and they've seen increase by 17% on the clicks, eventually in sales. But this is a simple test they have to do. So it's not accepted that you have the website and everything's done. And how they stand out? We see always the wine industry is about storytelling. And we see Coca-Cola, Google even have bought Super Bowl commercial. Why? Now they're totally digital and they do outdoor billboards. Why they do that? Well, 85% of the storytelling, you have to keep telling the story over and over again. They don't remember. They can be memorable. So if you do that, I would normally encourage the wineries now, rate them on TripAdvisor, at least they remember something. So they have to be the connection. And if you do a video to explain your story, even better.